Imagine a film so intense that it's real-life inspiration, a notorious serial killer. Might have sat in the audience at its premiere. Dirty Harry, 1971, isn't just a movie. It's a wild ride of chaos, controversy, and cinematic revolution. From Clint Eastwood's last-minute casting to near-fatal stunts and a line that became a cultural phenomenon, this film almost didn't happen. Stick around as we uncover 20 weird facts about Dirty Harry that you didn't know, including a chilling revelation that ties it to one of America's darkest mysteries. Let's lock and load for the truth. Dirty Harry's journey to the screen was a battle against the odds, with each hurdle threatening to derail the film. Let's dive into the chaos that nearly stopped this iconic movie from becoming a legend. Casting chaos, a role nobody wanted. The role of Harry Callahan was a hot potato in Hollywood. According to production notes, Frank Sinatra was the first choice, eager to play the tough cop, but a hand injury made it impossible for him to handle the .44 Magnum, forcing him to drop out. Next, Warner Brothers approached John Wayne, who rejected the role, finding the script's violence too extreme for his heroic image. Steve McQueen, fresh off Bullet, passed, not wanting another cop role. Paul Newman also declined, citing the film's politically charged stance on law enforcement, as noted in studio records. With time running out, Warner Brothers turned to Clint Eastwood, then known as the spaghetti western guy, from films like A Fistful of Dollars. It was a desperate move, but Eastwood saw potential in the gritty script. The timing of this is significant because it shows how close Dirty Harry came to never existing as we know it. Without Eastwood's unique intensity, would the film have become a classic? Production nightmares, stunts and studio fights. Once filming began, the challenges only grew. Eastwood, known for doing his own stunts, pushed the limits during a rooftop chase scene. According to production anecdotes, he fell 12 feet through a collapsed roof, landing on concrete and injuring himself. Yet, he insisted on continuing, and if you look closely, his real blood appears in the final chase sequence. This wasn't just a stunt gone wrong. It was a glimpse of Eastwood's relentless commitment. But there's more to this story. Director Don Siegel faced his own crisis when Warner Brothers tried to fire him mid-production over creative disputes, as documented in studio memos. Eastwood's loyalty saved Siegel, as he threatened to walk if the director was replaced. This standoff added tension to an already chaotic set, proving that the film's grit wasn't just on screen. Police backlash. Real cops rebel. The San Francisco police, initially cooperative, walked off the set in protest, as reported in production records. They were outraged by the film's portrayal of law enforcement as brutal and lawless, particularly scenes where Harry bends the rules to catch Scorpio. This walkout left production scrambling to maintain authenticity without real cops. The evidence points to a film that was as controversial behind the scenes as it was in theaters. Each of these hurdles, casting rejections, near-fatal stunts, and police protests, built tension, making it seem like Dirty Harry might never make it to the big screen. But somehow it did. Casting struggles. The film nearly didn't happen due to casting woes. According to production notes, Frank Sinatra was initially cast as Harry Callahan, but dropped out after a hand injury prevented him from handling the .44 Magnum. John Wayne, Steve McQueen, and Paul Newman also passed, citing the script's violence or political stance, as noted in studio records. Clint Eastwood, then known for spaghetti westerns, was a last-minute choice. This gamble paid off, but underscores how close the film came to failure. Production chaos. The creation of Dirty Harry, 1971, was a high-stakes battle against chaos that could have derailed the film before it ever reached theaters. One of the most dramatic incidents occurred during the filming of the rooftop chase scene, a pivotal moment in the film's action-packed narrative. Clint Eastwood, known for his commitment to authenticity, insisted on performing his own stunts, a decision that nearly cost him his life. According to production anecdotes, during the sequence, Eastwood fell 12 feet through a collapsed roof, landing hard on concrete and sustaining serious injuries. He was momentarily knocked unconscious, yet he refused medical attention and continued filming. If you look closely at the final chase in Dirty Harry, you can see Eastwood's real blood, a testament to his relentless dedication. This wasn't just a stunt gone wrong. It was a defining moment that infused the film with raw, visceral realism. The timing raises questions. How far should an actor go to make a scene feel authentic? Eastwood's choice to push through pain mirrored Harry Callahan's own unyielding pursuit of justice, blurring the line between actor and character. The chaos didn't stop with stunts. Director Don Siegel faced a near-career-ending crisis when Warner Brothers executives attempted to fire him mid-production. According to studio memos, the studio felt Siegel was making the film too dark and violent, straying from their vision of a more mainstream action flick. They wanted a director who would soften the tone, but Eastwood, who had significant creative control as both star and co-producer, issued an ultimatum. If Siegel goes, I go. This standoff, documented in studio records, was a high-stakes gamble that could have halted production entirely. Police protests. The controversy surrounding Dirty Harry didn't wait for its theatrical release. It erupted during production, with real San Francisco police officers walking off the set in protest. As reported in production records, the officers were outraged by the film's portrayal of law enforcement as brutal and lawless, particularly through Harry Callahan's rule-breaking tactics. This walkout forced the production to hire private security as stand-ins, adding tension and irony to a film already steeped in controversy over its depiction of vigilantism. The film's raw portrayal of Harry as a cop who bends the rules to catch criminals struck a deep nerve with the San Francisco Police Department. In the early 1970s, San Francisco was grappling with rising crime rates, including the Zodiac Killer's reign of terror, which inspired the film's villain, Scorpio. The SFPD was under intense scrutiny, and Dirty Harry's depiction of a cop who takes justice into his own hands felt like a direct critique of their profession. According to production records, officers felt the film misrepresented their work, portraying them as reckless vigilantes rather than professionals bound by law. The use of private security as stand-ins was a pragmatic but ironic solution. These stand-ins, often former law enforcement or military personnel, brought their own experiences to the roles, but they weren't active-duty officers, which meant the film's portrayal of police procedures leaned more on dramatic license than real-world accuracy. Box office glory. When Dirty Harry premiered in December 1971, it defied its chaotic production to become a cinematic triumph, grossing over $35 million worldwide. It was one of the top-grossing films in 1972, a remarkable feat for a film with a modest budget, as per box office records. Clint Eastwood's magnetic performance as Harry Callahan, a no-nonsense cop who takes on crime with unrelenting force, captivated audiences. The film's success wasn't just financial, it was a cultural phenomenon that reshaped action cinema. A key factor in Dirty Harry's appeal was Eastwood's improvised line, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" According to production records, this iconic moment wasn't in the original script. Eastwood felt the scripted dialogue was too wordy and ad-libbed the line on set, creating a catchphrase that became synonymous with the film and action heroes in general. This moment encapsulated Harry's confrontational, fearless attitude, resonating with audiences frustrated by rising crime rates and perceived inefficiencies in the justice system. The line's simplicity and bravado made a cultural staple, quoted in media, parodied in comedies, and even used in everyday conversations. The film's action sequences were another major draw. The raw, unpolished style of the chases and shootouts, partly a result of budget constraints, felt more immediate than the polished action films of the era. The foot chase through San Francisco streets, born from a budget-driven decision to scrap a car chase, became a highlight, showcasing Eastwood's physicality and the film's gritty energy. Emerging controversies. Dirty Harry's box office success was undeniable, but it came a firestorm of controversy that turned the film into a cultural flashpoint. Its portrayal of a cop who breaks rules to catch a killer sparked fierce debates about vigilantism and police ethics, debates that continue to resonate today. The film's raw depiction of justice, inspired by real-world crime fears like the Zodiac Killer case, made it both compelling and divisive. One of the most contentious scenes was Harry's torture of Scorpio to extract information about a kidnapped girl. According to academic journals, this scene became a case study in law schools used to discuss constitutional law, particularly the ethics of search and seizure. Critics argued that it glorified vigilantism, suggesting that illegal tactics were justified if they saved lives. Supporters, however, saw Harry as a pragmatic response to a broken system, where legal constraints often hindered justice. This moral divide reflected broader societal tensions in the 1970s, with rising crime rates and declining trust in institutions fueling debates about law enforcement's role. The Dirty Harry problem, as it became known, remains a touchstone in discussions of police reform and ethics. Global backlash. The controversy went global, as reported in international news archives. Countries like the UK and West Germany banned Dirty Harry for promoting vigilante justice, fearing it could inspire lawlessness. These bans added a new layer of conflict, as the film's success came at the cost of censorship. Yet, the bans fueled its underground popularity, with audiences seeking out illegal copies, amplifying its rebellious allure. Initial triumph's cultural impact. The film's $35 million global gross, per box office records, reflected its broad appeal. Eastwood's performance redefined the action hero, blending grit with moral ambiguity. The "Do you feel lucky, punk?" line improvised on set became a cultural staple, quoted in media and everyday life. This success wasn't just financial. It tapped into 1970s anxieties about crime, making Harry a symbol of resistance against a perceived failing justice system. The film's raw authenticity, driven by real-world inspirations like the Zodiac Killer, resonated deeply, as noted in screenwriter records. Vigilantism debates. The torture scene, where Harry extracted information from Scorpio, became a lightning rod, according to academic journals. It was studied in law schools to explore the Dirty Harry problem, whether breaking rules for justice is ethical. This scene challenged constitutional protections, sparking debates about police brutality. Critics, including film scholars, argued it endorsed illegal tactics, while fans saw Harry as a pragmatic hero. This divide reflected broader societal tensions, with urban crime rates rising and public trust in institutions waning, as noted in historical context. International censorship. The bans in the UK and West Germany, reported in international news archives, were driven by fears that Harry's methods could inspire real-world vigilantism. Authorities worried that audiences, frustrated by crime, might emulate his rule-breaking. These bans didn't silence the film. They made a forbidden fruit, with black market copies circulating widely. The controversy amplified Dirty Harry's reputation as a rebellious, boundary-pushing work, aligning with its anti-establishment tone. Gun culture surge. The .44 Magnum's prominence was a game-changer. Firearms industry reports noted a surge in sales post-release, with the gun becoming a symbol of power. Some criminologists linked this to increased violent crime, though direct causation is debated. The film's portrayal of the .44 Magnum as the most powerful handgun in the world fueled a cultural fascination with firearms, setting a precedent for action films where weapons were central. This unintended consequence highlighted cinema's power to shape societal trends, raising ethical questions about media responsibility. Cinematic influence. The film pioneered the serial killer genre, influencing films like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Silence of the Lambs, as per film history records. Its psychological tension and lone villain set a template for thrillers, proving audiences craved dark narratives. The sequel, Magnum Force, was written during production, reflecting confidence in its impact, as noted in production records. This franchise solidified Dirty Harry's place in cinema history. The Zodiac Killer's shadow. According to historical records, the film's villain, Scorpio, was directly inspired by the Zodiac Killer, who terrorized San Francisco from 1968 to 1969, just 2 years before Dirty Harry's production. The Zodiac, still unidentified, sent cryptic letters to newspapers, taunted police with ciphers, and committed random shootings, much like Scorpio's actions in the film. The script borrowed heavily from these real events, including Scorpio's ransom demands and taunting notes, as confirmed by screenwriter notes. SFPD Inspector Dave Tashi, a lead investigator on the Zodiac case, served as a consultant on the film, lending authenticity to Harry Callahan's character. Tashi's involvement meant that Dirty Harry wasn't just fiction. It was a mirror to an ongoing, unsolved mystery. The timing raises questions. How did audiences react, knowing the real killer was still at large? The film's villain, Scorpio, was no fictional creation. He was modeled after the Zodiac Killer, who terrorized San Francisco from 1968 to 1969. According to screenwriter notes, Scorpio's taunting letters, random shootings, and ransom demands were directly inspired by the Zodiac's real crimes. SFPD Inspector Dave Tashi, a lead Zodiac investigator, consulted on the film, ensuring Harry Callahan's pursuit mirrored real police work, as noted in historical records. This connection wasn't just artistic. It tapped into a city still reeling from the Zodiac's unsolved murders, making the film feel unervingly real. Box office triumph. The film was a massive success, grossing over $35 million worldwide, as reported in box office records. Eastwood's improvised "You feel lucky, punk?" line became a cultural catchphrase, cementing his stardom. The film's gritty action and morally complex hero resonated with audiences, suggesting the production chaos had paid off. It appeared Dirty Harry was a triumph, ready to redefine action cinema, rising controversies. But there's more to this story. The film's success sparked immediate backlash. According to international news archives, countries like the UK and West Germany banned Dirty Harry for promoting vigilantism, fearing it could inspire lawlessness. The scene where Harry tortures Scorpio to save a kidnapped girl became a legal case study, used in law schools to debate constitutional rights, as noted in academic journals. The .44 Magnum's prominence fueled a gun craze, with Smith & Wesson reporting soaring sales, linked to increased violent crime, per firearms industry reports. These controversies showed that Dirty Harry's impact was far more complex than its box office numbers suggested. Scorpio's real-life roots. According to screenwriter notes, Scorpio was directly inspired by the Zodiac Killer, active just 2 years before production. The Zodiac's cryptic letters, random shootings, and taunts to police were mirrored in Scorpio's actions, from his rooftop sniping to his ransom demands. SFPD Inspector Dave Tashi, who consulted on the film, brought authenticity to Harry Callahan's character, drawing from his own pursuit of the Zodiac. As per historical records, actor Andrew Robinson studied FBI serial killer profiles to craft Scorpio's disturbing realism, receiving death threats for his performance, as noted in production anecdotes. This real-world inspiration made Dirty Harry feel like a documentary at times, resonating with audiences aware of the Zodiac's terror. The Zodiac at the premiere. The most revealing part comes later. In a 2007 interview, as reported in Crime Archives, Tashi revealed that the Zodiac Killer likely attended Dirty Harry San Francisco premiere on December 22, 1971, at the North Point Theater. Security footage showed a man matching the Zodiac's description, white male, medium build, glasses, sitting alone in the back row, wearing sunglasses, and leaving abruptly after the credits. 3 days later, the San Francisco Chronicle received a letter in the Zodiac's cipher style, referencing scenes not in trailers, like Scorpio's rooftop sniping. Tashi noted, the letter's tone was mocking, as if the Zodiac was amused by seeing his crimes dramatized. This evidence suggests a macabre moment where the real killer may have watched his story unfold among unsuspecting moviegoers, pioneering the serial killer genre. According to film history records, Dirty Harry unintentionally birthed the serial killer genre, paving the way for films like The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974, Halloween, 1978, and The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. Its blend of action, psychological tension, and a lone, psychopathic villain set a template for thrillers. Before Dirty Harry, serial killers were rarely central antagonists. The film proved audiences crave dark, complex narratives, changing action and horror cinema forever. Screenwriter John Milius began writing Magnum Force during production, confident in its success, as per production notes, leading to a franchise. Real-world impact. Beyond Hollywood, Dirty Harry had tangible effects on society. According to San Francisco police reports, crime rates in the city briefly dropped after the film's release, as potential criminals feared encountering a real-life Harry Callahan. The film also boosted police recruitment, with many applicants citing Harry's tough persona as inspiration, as noted in recruitment records. However, the stakes were high. The film's glorification of the .44 Magnum led to a surge in gun ownership, with firearms dealers reporting increased demand, as documented in industry journals. This trend had darker implications, potentially contributing to violent crime rates, as some criminologists argued at the time. Legal and ethical debates. The film's portrayal of Harry's rule-breaking tactics sparked ongoing debates about justice. The Dirty Harry problem, whether it's acceptable to violate rights for the greater good, became a staple in legal discussions. According to academic sources, law schools use the torture scene to teach students about constitutional protections, sparking debates that continue in modern discussions of police reform. The evidence points to a film that didn't just entertain but challenge societal norms, forcing audiences to grapple with questions of morality and law enforcement. This legacy underscores the high stakes of Dirty Harry's influence, as it shaped not only cinema, but how we think about justice. Another question is how the controversies shaped Clint Eastwood's career. As reported in biographies, Eastwood embraced the role's complexity, but did the backlash over vigilantism affect his future choices? The film's bans in countries like the UK raised further questions. Did these restrictions limit its global impact, or did they amplify its notoriety? This pattern suggests that Dirty Harry's influence was both a blessing and a curse for its creators. Finally, does Dirty Harry still hold up in today's social climate? With modern debates about police brutality and justice, is Harry Callahan a hero or a problematic figure? The film's ethical dilemmas remain relevant, but its reliance on raw, real stunts contrasts with today's CGI-heavy blockbusters. Can modern films capture the same authenticity without actors risking their lives? These questions invite us to reflect on the power of cinema to shape society and the responsibilities that come with it. If these facts blew your mind, drop a comment below with your favorite Dirty Harry moment or which fact shocked you most. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into movie history. Let's keep the conversation going.